This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a cat lover that is passionate about rebranding cats. I will tell you all about her and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors. Hi, I'm Isabel Alvarez-Arata, the host of Covered in Pet Hair. You know the expression, cats have 9 lives? Well, what if you could give them one more? The Give Them 10 movement is on a mission to help give cats an extra life. How? With spay and neuter. Spaying and neutering your cat helps them live a longer, healthier life. And it helps control free-roaming cat populations too. Learn more about the benefits of spay and neuter and meet Scooter, the neutered cat, at GiveThem10.org. That's GiveThem10.org.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a pet parent, a rescue advocate. She's an inventor, an entrepreneur. She's a self-proclaimed passionate cat lady who is a road tripper, vintage hunter, ocean lover, bourbon connoisseur, who is originally from the Valley in LA. I have to ask you if you watched the show, The Valley, that just came out. She now lives in Mendocino, California, which I only know because of wine. I guess there's more to it than that, but that's where I've heard of Mendocino County. And her name is Erin Simpson, and she is the founder of Wildcat. Welcome, Erin. It's so good to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Isabel. So excited to be here. You might have heard some meowing in the background. You can see, forget the mess, but we have foster guy Jack over here.
Okay, so Jack, and then you have a daughter, you have cats. You didn't tell me any of those names in your intake form, but tell me about your daughter's name and your cat's name, because it sounds like your daughter's a fan of Titanic from what I remember.
Apparently, yeah. She picked the name Jack and she picked the name Rose for our kitty, Rosie. And I have one of these guys. Let's see. This is Bink right here. So you can see, he's actually modeling a Wildcat bed as we speak.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I have right now Marmite, Binks, and Rosie, and then bonus boy Jack that I am not going to foster fail and keep him. I'm going to help him find a home somewhere else because we have a full house here with kitties.
How old is your daughter and what's her name?
My daughter is Ramona and she is 5. And she is probably not surprisingly a big time cat lady herself. And we are really involved locally with our rescue. And so she knows all about TNR. She loves watching the Trap Kings videos and all of my cat buddies on Instagram, so she's like, she's getting raised in the cat vortex for sure.
Oh my gosh. I hope to have my kids involved in TNR by the time they're like 2 digits old, like 10 plus. So you're starting early. I have 2 and I feel like it's a lot to teach 2 little ones, especially my 7-year-old who's wild. He's a wildcat himself. So I'm waiting till they're about 10 plus. But yeah, I think it's so important to teach them early so they know what to do if they ever see a cat, how to help, and why it's important to educate people in their world too. They can start educating kids in their classroom.
Yes, totally. And we just actually volunteered at a bake sale for our local TNR group. And I had such a proud parent moment because she was walking up to people being like, do you want to buy a witch finger cookie to help rescue kitties? And she was like talking to people about TNR and, we get them fixed and stuff. And I was like, oh my God. Some people, proud parent moments are, and like somebody does some like achievement on like the sports field. I'm like, no, mine is like, she was named volunteer of the month at our shelter too. So we're. But I think it teaches I mean, so many good things. And also just like it's exciting, fun responsibility for them to have. And you get to be around cats. So,
Yeah, it's a win-win for sure. I love that so much. I want to get to know you more and everything that you bring to the cat community. But before we do that, I want to introduce our drinking game. So anybody participating in our drinking game at home, anytime you hear this word,
the secret word is whisker.
Take a drink of whatever you're enjoying, but please be over 21 in the U.S. to partake. Never drink and drive, and always drink responsibly. So what are you drinking today, Erin?
So I am drinking bourbon on the rocks by itself. I felt like, as we're getting into like holidays and Thanksgiving, I was also like, we had the power out half the week. It's like busy cat and human mom. I'm like, I was going to make a cool cocktail and then it's just bourbon. But I really love bourbon. I've done like the Kentucky Bourbon Trail before. It's like wine tasting, but with bourbon. And I have a humble little like nice whiskey collection. So, so this felt right for, kind of like a fall evening vibe.
I love it so much. I'm dying to do the bourbon trail for sure. Like I would love to do that. I'm having a paloma because for me, Thanksgiving is like, and citrus just kind of go together. So I am having tequila and some grapefruit liqueur, some grapefruit soda, a little bit of soda splashed on there. So cheers. Thank you so much for being on the show and being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I loved meeting you at the CFA International Cat Show and Expo where you were an exhibitor. I want to learn all about you and your products, but first, I'm going to put you on the spot because I always start this show with a game, and today is no different. This is our Thanksgiving celebration, so welcome everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. If you're just listening to this now and Thanksgiving already passed, this still applies because we're going to talk about gratitude, which is not just a thing we do on that fourth Thursday of November every year. It's something we do every day. So I want to start by putting you on the spot with a gratitude top 10. And I have my handy dandy clock here. And I just want you to give us a list of 10 things that you are grateful for right now. Are you ready to play?
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm okay. We got a sip of bourbon.
Here we go. All right, take a sip and I'll count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, 10 things. My daughter, my family, our health, my kitties. I know you guys were in there. This awesome community. I live in a small town. It's a really special place. The nature that I can see right outside. I've got deers in my yard all the time. Vintage magical things that bring me so much joy and just the beautiful things that we get to have around us. Oh my gosh, this is really hard. Okay, that's 7. Like I can't count. Well, it's Friday. I'm like, thankful for the most amazing cat community ever that I get to be a part of with having something like Wildcat, being around other cat people, like fills my cup. It makes me so happy. Oh my gosh. Okay.
2 more.
Thankful for, oh my gosh. I think
you have almost a minute, so take your time.
Okay, I'm just going to sit back then. No, I think I really feel thankful for, I feel like I've gotten to spend a lot of time in this past, year and just kind of having more quiet and peace and like a slowed down life, which is very not my vibe. And so I'm thankful for kind of taking the more scenic route, which is not always the most direct one, metaphorically and literally, but but I think it's good. And I think it brings a lot of good. So thankful for the slowing down a little bit. And then also, thankful for all of the creative inspiration. And I love to read. I love to I love vintage hunting, like you mentioned, and all of that. So I feel like every time I see what other awesome artists and writers and people are doing, I'm just like, I'm so lucky I get to absorb this stuff.
That was perfect. That's 2 minutes exactly. Good job. That was beautiful. I love it. And I love I am particularly fond of slowing down. I don't know how to do it. I also have that kind of like go, go, go vibe all the time. My goal for 2025 is to slow down, to say no more, and to do less traveling because I've done so much traveling this year. And it really it really impacts my day-to-day life, even though it's so fun and so exciting.
It takes a lot of you once you're home, you've got to recalibrate and all that. I tell you what, Isabel, a really nice way to slow down is to have your power out for a couple days because then you're like, oh wait, I can't go on the internet. I made like a to-do list of like things. I'm like, what can I do in like a dark house with like, no access to technology? So that will help you slow down. But yeah, no, I gained some tips over the past few years.
Yeah, I bet. And I think that actually the reason we're always so worked up and moving so fast is because of technology and the internet. And I find that, even me, I work from home, I'm a journalist, and I feel like everybody wants an answer right now. And when I don't give them an answer right now because I'm kind of prioritizing my list, it looks, or at least I think it looks like I'm being flaky. And I have to really kind of come to terms with being more in control of my time as far as like setting boundaries that maybe other people aren't comfortable with, but I am.
Yeah,
So,
that's huge. And not
yeah,
feeling so guilty about that, especially for so many of us. It's like, I always want to help anybody I can and respond to friends and all those people. And I think that's been a weird thing to be like, just because someone sends you a text right then, you might be in the middle of something totally different and you just can't respond. I think that's, some of the hard things of being a busy parent and entrepreneur and all that. I'm like, I can't, like, I literally just can't do those things. But then I'm like lying awake at night, feeling that dark cloud of like, like, and I feel guilty that I didn't get back to people quicker, all that. But then I'm like, I'm trying to show myself grace. And then I definitely show other people that because I'm like, oh my gosh, we're all just trying to do the best we
yes,
can.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I am definitely trying my hardest. Even if I fall flat on my face, nobody can accuse me of not trying my best because I really always do. I put everything I have into every activity, every text, every response to anything I'm writing. I put my whole heart into it. So sometimes there's just not enough time to put your heart into so many things. Um, well, I want to get to know you. So you have a background in PR, which I think is so awesome. I feel like PR is a dying art in many ways. We only hear about PR as in like, like what is it? Damage control PR. I feel like that's when we
The
really hear
bad
about PR.
PR. Yes,
Yes.
totally.
So tell me about your PR career and how it led you to starting a cat product company like Wildcat.
Yeah, it's funny. I've always done PR in my career, and I think that when people think of the term PR, it can encompass so many things. And I think you hit the nail on the head of like so much of it is And I studied psychology, and I'm fascinated, but obviously cat behavior, but human behavior too, and how we form opinions and how we take in certain information and prioritize other information, and all of those things have always just been really fascinating to me. And I think a lot of PR is about kind of that, it's such an overused term, but that storytelling and coming up with kind of, where did this fit in with somebody's, life and who we want to be and how we see the world and all of that. And so, that can take the form of, helping figure out how do we even talk about this thing in the outside world to our customers and to our, the different stakeholders, to employees, to, lawmakers, to things like being really scrappy and creative and thinking of like, okay, I have this like product launch, I have no budget, but like what are like 10 crazy ways that I can actually get people to care about this thing. So it's like I feel like all of those things have fallen under the PR bucket for me. And I've had the opportunity to work for really fun brands, whether it's like in the beauty industry or the furniture industry, where I got to do some like really crazy scrappy stuff and just have the freedom to be really creative. And I think that stuff carries over to how I approach Wildcat, of thinking like, okay, if I have, negative budget, like what's something that I can do that's going to like stick in people's minds and make a moment of like joy and delight that they'll be like, oh, like I remember that brand. So I think there's that piece of it. And I think also the kind of big picture storytelling piece too, of figuring out like, where does my thing line up with, where people see the world and how people look at, sharing their lives with their cats, and kind of where that's going, what that was 10 years ago, what that's going to be 10 years from now and beyond. So those are the things that I just think about, for fun all the time. And so I think that definitely touches it for sure.
Oh my gosh, I nerd out over marketing so much. I think that a bottle of bourbon and some conversation about marketing while we watch Mad Men is in order. Like, we need to do this. We need to plan this.
Yeah.
We need a day, a retreat, something where we can talk marketing, drink bourbon.
You're for it.
And obviously have cats around. So I love that you say this. You say that cats have like bad PR. They've received bad PR and you are out trying to change that. So like, rebrand cats for me and tell me why are you inspired to do this?
Yes, it's very existential for me, Isabel, because I think, well, as somebody, and I know you love cats deeply too, but I think that it's like, when I decided to start Wildcat, and it was like, talking about it for many, many years to anyone who would listen, be like, well, when I start my cat brand someday and all that stuff, and then to like actually, start taking the first steps to bring it to life. But when I did actually make the step to bring it to life, I said, okay, if I'm going to actually try to do this and put this out in the world, I knew enough about cats at the time beyond just being someone who was, obsessed with cats to like, I had gotten my foot, and I had worked as a cat volunteer for a long time. But I think just like, again, with my like PR and psychology brain on and knowing the reaction to people when it's like, oh, you're one of those cat people and like, oh, cats, this. So you hear all of that, but I don't think I fully appreciated kind of the gravity of, what this on a like more serious note, kind of it's kind of light to say like, oh, cats are jerks and cats are this. But I think that, kind of there's always all these repercussions from that. And I think that, what we have, the way I see it is, there's kind of this PR issue where we're mad at cats for not behaving like a dog or,
Yes.
Which is kind of the default companion animal. It's like man's best friend. And so people are like, cats are jerks because they're not like at the door waiting for me. And some cats are, by the way, because cats are so individual, but it's like that they're not fitting into this box and doing these behaviors that we have collectively agreed that like, this is how a pet should behave. And so, but it's like, we're not mad at like a bird for not being a squirrel. It's like, this is like a totally different species. They have totally different needs, for their health and well-being. And so I think that that's something that when I learned, and I actually was dealing with something with my own cat where she was peeing on my bed every day for like a very long time. So if anyone ever wants to talk about cat pee issues, I am sadly an expert. But like that sent me down this rabbit hole of understanding. And I was already working as a volunteer for a long time, helping socialize cats and rescue. But it wasn't until I dealt with my own behavioral issue that I learned so much about the fact that the behavioral stuff is actually, that's like, the number one reason for surrender. And obviously we know that, in shelters, there's a really high euthanasia rate. And so then kind of these misconceptions about cats, it does become a life or death thing. And so I think that was something that I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to have that education like kind of baked in about cat behavior in every touch point of Wildcat from day one. And then also kind of this like really celebratory vibe. And that's just like, and when I talk about cats, I think about them, I get so excited. So it's hard to not have that come through, but it's, I feel like having that energy and having that positivity and also the education of like, when it's like an explanation of like my product, I have like a novel on there basically like all the different ways cats can use it and why they like to use it in that way and why they need, these different things. So it's just, those things mean so much to me. And that's a big part of why I'm doing this in the first place, to make, because vets and the shelters and all these different people, we all kind of can like contribute our little piece to kind of getting people closer to just a little more patience and understanding for cats behaving like cats.
Absolutely. I think you're so right. It's funny when people think it's funny when they say, I hate cats, but they don't realize what they're saying is, get rid of them. I actually was on an airplane on my way to blog pause and I was telling some passengers who we started chit-chatting about what I do, and that one of them asked me like, what pets do you have? I said, I have 2 dogs and a cat. And one of them like kind of made a face and she said, I think cats are such vile creatures. And I was first of all thinking, first know your audience. Like, you're talking to somebody who literally makes her living off of like talking about dogs and cats, right? Like, and I said I specialize in cats and dogs. So that is like, if you were going to tell me, who specializes in cats and dogs, that you don't like turtles, that's cool, because I'm not that much of a huge fan of turtles either. I mean, I think they're cute, but like they're not my thing, right? So like, not knowing your audience, or even people who know that you're talking to a pet parent who has this particular species, somebody who like is wearing like a I'm a crazy cat lady shirt, and they're like, I hate cats.
It's become very socially acceptable for people who
Yes.
be like, oh, are you one of those cat people? And it's like, it's funny because, I was saying this is existential for me. And I just like, I obviously love cats a lot. I know you know this about me, Isabel, but
I
I think there's,
do.
I think back to like my early 20s and stuff. It's like I tried so hard to not seem like I was a cat lady, because it's like, I wasn't as secure in myself, and not that, I mean, it's like imposter syndrome and all the things. Not that I have it all figured out, but the gift of kind of getting older and getting more comfortable in your own skin and who you are. It's like, when I was young, I would do the thing of being like, yo, I have, because I grew up with cats. And then shortly after college, I got my first cat, like in my, own like grown up apartment. And, so I had this cat, all through that time. But I was like, well, I have just like one cat, and like, well, yeah, I volunteer with them, but I'm not like, I love all animals. Like and I was definitely not like wearing cat things and all that. So I was always downplaying it. And I think it's like something, like over the years. And now I'm like, oh, like, no, I love cats. I want like a million of them. Like, I'm like, give me like the cat earrings, the cat outfit. Like, you walk with my house, there's a giant panther statue, like right there. I'm like, I have like toxoplasmosis in like every fold of my brain. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like 1,000%. I am the cat lady. Like I'm every stereotype, anything you want to judge. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like I'm that and more probably. And like, it's all good. Like, and I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky and happy that I get to like be that and get to hang out with cats. I was like, you guys are the ones missing out. Yeah.
Agreed. I think it's so funny that people who like work a very safe 9 to 5, who like don't have pets because they work too hard, have all these opinions about like how we pet parent and like how we live our lives and what we wear. And like this year too, I've embraced the whole like cat sweater, the cat earrings. I mean, I think I've done it like slowly over the years, but like this year I've allowed myself. And now we were at Target yesterday. My sister saw like a little box of the Wellies Band-Aids, and they had like dogs all over them. And they did not have a cat one, but I was like, of course I need a dog Band-Aid kit. Like, obviously. And if there was a cat one, I would have gotten that one as well, because I want cats and dog figures, icons everywhere now. And I'm a dog and cat person. People ask me, like, which one do you prefer? I love them both for totally different reasons. I am obsessed with my cat. I too have a cat that comes to the door when I arrive. He is like, he is all of our whole family. My 2 dogs, my husband, myself, my 2 kids. That cat is our emotional support animal. Like, he is the most balanced of all of us. He is the most confident of all of us. He is the most at ease and sweet and like happy and like easygoing of all of us. I have 2 very intense dogs. So all the stereotypes are not
He's
really
like the
always
anchor of
true.
the household. Yeah.
He is. He's the anchor of the household, and he brought so much joy to our family. We had not had a cat since I fostered kittens in 2016 timeframe. And I was like, I'm not going to get a puppy. I can't take on a puppy. I have 2 little kids. What do I get? I got a cat. And it was the biggest blessing. Like, he was the biggest blessing. And sometimes at first I would get angry when people were like, I hate cats. And I'd be like, well, know your audience is usually what I say. That's my response, is know your audience. I'm not going to like, that's not going to like make me smile or like laugh. I think it's annoying. It's like a tired trope about like how cats suck. But I also say, like, you're missing out. Like, if you hate cats, you've never had the opportunity to like get to know one and have one melt your heart and like watch them play and watch them be so elegant and gorgeous and amazing. Like, my sister was walking out of my house today and my cat's sitting in the window, like getting sun. And she's like, oh, he knows exactly what's up. Like, look at him. It's cold outside. He's sitting by the window. He's like slow blinking at her, looking amazing. And she's like, I get it. I get why you're obsessed with him. And I'm like, of course I'm obsessed, because he's amazing. And she won't have a cat ever, I'm sure, because she's not a cat person.
Yeah.
She doesn't hate them. She likes them, and she was looking forward to like meeting him, but she's just like not a cat person. But it's okay to not like want one and still recognize their beauty.
Yes. And that's really how I love dogs. Like I am like, any dog I see on the street, like, we look at each other and I'm like, oh, I see. And then I'm like, do you mind if we say hi? I'm like, I'm just an animal creep to all animals, but like, but cats are the ones that like speak to me the most, but I still like love dogs. And I'm so like, my friend gets a new dog. I'm like, oh my gosh, and can I come over and like hug your dog? And like, it's, you can have your favorite animal that's like your soul buddy and also still like the other ones. But yeah, I feel like, and just, between us, I'm like, there's so much, like all the cat people I know generally really like dogs too. And then it's like the people really hardcore dog people like, oh, cats. Like, so I'm like, hey, like cat people, we're like, we're cool with everybody.
Equal opportunity pet lovers. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And actually, Nathan, the cat lady, said something similar when he was on the show. I asked them, like, are you cat people, dog people, like only, whatever? And they both he and Sterling, the Trap King Davis, were like, we love dogs. Like, we have no issues with dogs. We just happen to work with cats and live with cats, but we love dogs too. And it was the same sentiment that like dog people are the ones that are kind of like one dimensional, only want dogs. And cat people are like, animals are awesome.
There it is. Yeah, it's true. And I think cats are so individual, just like dogs are too. But it's like, I remember when, my cat that I had, for so many years, like I lived with so many different roommates with her. And I would always get like, she's so cool. She's like a dog. And I'm like, well, no, she's like a cat. It's just that like cats have all different personalities and some are more social and some are less social and some are, just like humans. And, so it's like, I'd always be like, I'm like, she's not like a dog. Like, she's just a cat.
Maybe she's just an extroverted cat. Like, right. How about we frame it that way? Because there's everything under the sun, right?
Again, with the PR, I'm like, let's think about how we're framing this, how we're positioning this. Yeah,
exactly. We've got to position it as some cats are introverts, some cats are extroverts, some cats are extroverted introverts. Like, which is what I am. Like, I love being alone, but like you put me in a group and I like love people, right? So like, it just depends on the position that you're in, like the place that you're in, like who's around, the energy, all of that. And I'm very sensitive to energy and I'm not a cat. Like, I'm not experiencing the world on that level that they experience it, where they smell everything more, they hear everything more, they see everything in different ways. So it's just about who's there at the time. And if a cat doesn't like you, then you should take that personally, because maybe you just, you didn't make the cut. Like, that's it. And like, that's okay. Okay, so tell us about your products. I love your products. We're going to talk about your aesthetic in the second half of the show, but give me a quick rundown on what you make at Wildcat.
Yes. So my goal, I say to people a lot, like I make things that, they look beautiful in your house, but they're also super functional and, and super long lasting. And those things mean a lot to me. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to go to the trouble of designing things from scratch, like it needs to check a lot of boxes. And so and so to back that up, I make cat products. Right now I have a bed and scratchers, and I also have, I'm jumping ahead to the most important thing, but I also make these whisker vases. So these are like real cat whiskers. I know you know about these, Isabel, but yeah, so this is like my just for fun item. But, I started with beds and scratchers because I felt like those were, my goal is to make things that solve for like specific challenges and pain points. And I started designing the bed for my senior cat with arthritis when I noticed that she didn't want to sleep in like her normal kind of more flat sleeping spots. She was wanting to nook into spots, and I would like scrunch up the blankets and make the dip. And I was like, I wonder if I could make a cat bed like this. And I started working on Wildcat with a couple products that like haven't even come out yet because they're like a little more complex, like, like a cat house for anxious cats and a couple other things that are like in varying stages. And then I also started working on this bed because, of course, like you said, if we're going to do anything, we're going to like go hard. I'm going to like invent like 5 things and, see which one kind of like works. And even just with the first prototype for the bed, it was shaped a lot more like a hot dog bun, because what I noticed is she wanted to be in the dip. So I named it the Canyon bed. And then I was like, well, I want it to be aesthetically as pretty as a throw pillow. And, and the whole thing has to go in the wash because I've got cats who like, have IBD or things like that and are throwing up or, going potty on things and whatever. And I had to throw away so many things, that would just like either fall apart or get trashed. And like, how do you make a pet bed that you can't wash? So that was kind of one of the first main things I was focused on, was making this bed for my senior cat with arthritis that would like really hug her body. But then I had this design challenge of she was like 9 pounds and my other cat is like 18 pounds. And I'm like, okay, I got to make a shape where like we can like hug a small cat and a big cat in the same thing. And then for me, I wanted it to be two-sided and like a throw pillow. So, anyway, so that was, and that's kind of a good way to think. Like, I want things that are really, really beautiful and that are really high quality and long lasting. And also are things that, are solving for specific problems. And what I learned is that like all cats love that feeling of being nooked in, not just, senior cats with arthritis. And so Banks is in this one right now. You can see him. He's modeling it quite well. But you can see, so it has like, you can flip it on either side. And he's in the nook, but kind of has this like pretty amoeba shape. But yeah, at any given time, the cats are always in these beds in my house.
I loved your stuff. I love your stuff. I saw it displayed in a beautiful exhibit that you were exhibiting at the CFA International Cat Show and Expo in Cleveland. You have beautiful colors. The idea of like the amoeba shape with like the little nooks and crannies, such a good idea. Your scratchers were a huge hit. I saw a lot of people coming over to take a look at those. What makes those special?
I have one right here that they can go in here and do the little cheek scratch. So there's a lot of like subtle details, and these are super, super sturdy. They're lasting people more than a year. Oh, and actually, Foster Boy is in one right now that has the little, I don't know if you could see that. He's in the little pod. And that scratcher I designed intentionally to have that pod because I have a more anxious cat that really likes to tuck away. So these are, everything's designed to be very multifunctional and really tailored to their actual behaviors and how they live. And the aesthetic, a lot of the stuff, actually, we mentioned all my vintage stuff, like my vintage cat jacket here. But a lot of these shapes are based on like kind of combinations of different vintage like shapes of furniture that I fell in love with and would kind of like reimagine. So the vintage stuff is a big part of the forms. And then I kind of like to take more like fresh modern colors. It's like the colors that I wasn't seeing in my pet stuff, that was out there, but that like is what I want in my house, is like these accents. And not that we want to have our whole house be like magenta, but it's like, but I do want to have like a cool coral accent or magenta accent if that fits your room's vibe. And so, so I think the bold colors are part of it, but kind of also this like modern meets vintage vibe. And you get better with Spragger with it. I feel like when you
Yes, you did it perfectly. I love your stuff. I did not imagine that you were designing it based on furniture, kind of, that you're inspired by. But I see, now that you've said it, I totally see that. I'm not an interior designer, so like I bet somebody in that space would immediately be like, this reminds me of XYZ. But I want to take a break right here. When we come back, I'm actually going to dig in more into your aesthetic, more into the things that make you and your product you. We'll take a break right here and hear from our sponsors. When we come back, Erin is going to give us more insights into Wildcat.
Gifts for my pets, sparkle and love, under the tree, from heaven above. Gifts for my pets, joy in the air, unwrapping dreams without a care.
Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and is conveniently located on the cat tree. Go to cattreetray.com. Bring home a luxury French Bulldog from the world-famous Tom King's Kennel. Premium French Bulldogs from excellent European bloodlines. Superior puppy care and lifetime health guarantee for your perfect companion. Use code TomKingsMagic for a magical holiday discount. Visit TomKingsKennel.com and find your perfect Frenchie today. Your pets will be over the moon with sparkly jewelry from Over the Moon Jewelry. Beautiful handcrafted matching jewelry for you and your pet. Wire-wrapped, beaded contemporary necklaces, bracelets, and charms. Go to overthemoonjewelry.com.
Gifts for my pets, joy in the air, unwrapping dreams without a care.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arada, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with my friend Erin Simpson, who is the founder of Wildcat. a line of gorgeous vintage meets modern cat accessories. Her beds are beautiful, her scratchers are wonderful, and she makes an adorable natural stone whisker vase, which I had to buy when I first met her at the CFA Cat Show in Cleveland earlier this year. Erin, before we get deeper into your products, which I adore, I want to play a game with you that I actually discovered at the CFA International Cat Show and Expo. It's called Ask Your Cat. And you may remember these because you were in the booth right next to Wendy, who is behind
neighbor.
Card to Believe. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, so for those who are watching and listening, this is a deck of cards called Ask Your Cat. And this is what it says on the back. Cats are obviously smarter than us. Now, unlock their endless genius with this possum answer deck. Ask a yes or no question, draw a card, and let the whiskered wisdom flow. Seeking answers to life's questions, ask your cat. So I want to make this Thanksgiving themed because, of course, we're celebrating Thanksgiving. So I'm shuffling these cards here, and all the answers. This is kind of like a magic 8-ball, but from a cat's perspective. So I want you and I to kind of go back and forth and ask Thanksgiving-related yes or no questions about like Thanksgiving dinner and see what the cat has to say about our questions. Are you ready to play?
I'm ready. Binks might join for this one too.
If Binks has any questions, he can ask too. All right, you go first.
Okay. Will the turkey come out okay?
Are you cooking it?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because...
Yeah, I've never cooked a turkey.
Okay, this is what the cat has to say. Are you ready? If saying yes will get you to stop speaking to me in that creepy baby voice, then yes.
That feels spot on. Yeah.
That feels spot on? Okay, I'll ask a question now. Will anybody bring up politics at the table? Maybe it's the catnip talking, but yes.
Yes.
Gosh, I hope not. Yes, but it's probably true too. All right, you're next.
Will I eat more than 3 dinner rolls?
I'll bet at least three of my lives. That's a hard no. So what, you're going to have more, you think?
Yeah, maybe 5. Yeah. TBD. Yeah.
So tell me about this dinner roll thing. Do you like enjoy them? Do you hate them? What's going on?
It's funny because I think, so I'm a lifelong vegetarian. And a lot of times at Thanksgiving, there's like the main meat things, but even in the stuff that's not meat, I have a bunch of cat hair stuck to my face now. But it's like, appropriate to be literally covered in cat hair, stuck in my lip balm. Even like the things that are vegetable based, there's always like the sneaky meat, whether it's like chicken broth or like little like bacon bits and all that. So I learned to be like, oh, wait, no, I can't have that. I can't have that. So, I would end up just like eating rolls. Like I would end up eating several of them and then maybe like sneak something else like after everything was cleaned up. It's like, okay, maybe we'll make like a microwave something. But, it's like, it's not always like the most vegetarian friendly meal.
No, it's not.
But yeah, but then if you plan for it, you can have some really good stuff. So.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask, will Erin have anything safe to eat at the table? Don't tell other cats. But I actually like that idea. So he's being nice to you. He hopes that you do.
Okay. We'll take it.
All right, last one for you. What question do you have for the cat?
Is somebody gonna overserve themselves with the booze? Speaking of booze on this show, somebody gonna have a little too much on Thanksgiving? Not me. Someone. Yeah.
No. Wait. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, somebody's going to overserve. And hopefully it's not me either. Okay, am I going to get too tipsy on Thanksgiving? Ignoring you. Okay, I mean, I guess it's a really boring question. When you ask my family, they'd be like, probably. All right, I'm going to ask again. Okay, fine, but I'm not happy about it. Yes, go get tipsy. All right, I'll take that as a green light from the cat. Great job. Thanks for playing with me. So I've been using these with my kids, and the cat's kind of a jerk in these, which is kind of, funny because we were talking about how like not all cats are jerks, but this cat is an aloof cat, and that's why he has a deck of cards, because a very social, extroverted cat probably wouldn't have invested his time in making something like this. But I will have my kids ask the deck, hey, am I going to have a good day today? And the cat will sometimes be really nice and sometimes not so nice, and they think it's hilarious. So I love these. These are fun. A little conversation starter, if nothing else. Okay, so we're coming back to Wildcat and the aesthetic. Why is aesthetic so important to you? Like, most people just go to the store, find either it's really cute and not functional, or just functional and not that cute, and they're okay with either one of those options. But like, what do you believe about the importance of the role of aesthetics in pet products?
Yeah, I gave this a lot of thought when I was starting out, because I had that same thing where it was like, if I thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, I finally found something that's like, attractive and cute, and they would never use it ever. And then the stuff that they would end up using that like would be just trash that I couldn't throw away and be like basically destroyed, but it would just like, that they loved was like so, hideous. And I think that, as somebody, just for me personally, like I love interior design. I love things like, it makes me happy to have things around me that like have color, that are beautiful shapes, that feel like fun treasures and all that. So I think there's definitely a big benefit there. But I think that where it becomes a more critical issue with pet stuff is because what I started to find, I did a lot of research to understand like how, because I could talk to people about their cats for hours and hours and hours. And I think like a theme that I found was like, take something like scratchers, for example. Like there were some people that just didn't have scratchers. They're ugly. Like, oh, I don't want to have, I got a couple and then they got like shredded to bits and they were just trash, or, and then they'd be like frustrated about their couch getting messed up, or they would get some kind of, scratcher hole or something like that they would then put like in a weird corner of their house. So it was like out of the sight line. And I think that as I learned more about cats and their behavior and how much their territory, like the physical placement of things and the surroundings, like that is such a make or break for their well-being, and for, even minor things, I'm obsessed with cats, and I feel like I learn stuff new every day about just like the things that, their need to have choice and their need to kind of have control over their environment, but also like their core territory. And I think that something that, certainly there are cats who like to like hide away, but a lot of cats, like, they're scratching in your living room because that's high value territory. That's like where people are hanging out. That's where they want to hang out. And if you have a scratcher that's, if you actually get your cat a scratcher, that they need to scratch for their health and well-being. Like, so we're there. You do at least know that. So you're getting a scratcher, but then you're like, this is so ugly, I'm going to stash it in this weird corner. Your cat wants to scratch something in this like, prime territory. And so a big thing for me was like, I want to make things that like people are proud to have out in their house. And especially, and for a lot of us, if you're living in a small place, I started working on this when I was living in San Francisco in a tiny apartment. It's like, you have no choice but to have this stuff kind of right in your eye line. But it's like, so I wanted to make a scratcher that's like, okay, would you put this right next to your couch? Would you put this like next to the TV where you're going to stare at it every day? And that's like, that is something that obviously it's like, aesthetics are not just like a nice to have. It's actually like a make or break of like, is it going to be useful for your cat? Is your cat going to actually get that benefit of being able to use it? And same with these beds, it's like I made them to be as cute as a throw pillow, because it's like, would you put this in front of your like fire on your sofa? Like, these things where it's like, if your cat is going to get that benefit of, that warmth and that bodily support, it's like, if you're stashing it in a weird spot where maybe, they don't actually want to hang out. And so that was like, that's kind of a make or break with the aesthetic piece. And so it's almost like I joke, it's like, there's all these other things going on with my products and so much detail and so many of these subtle small things. Like, again, with this, it's like this fabric, I tested so many different fabrics to find one that would not snag when you're making biscuits, but also had that like nubby feeling that they seem to love. It's like, if you have a jacket made out of this, anyone knows they're obsessed with this material, but this material, it washes terribly, so there's like all these little tiny details, and it's like you don't need to know any of that. I just want you to buy it because you think it's cute, and then like, I snuck all these things in there that are actually really good for your cat. And so it's like almost like I snuck the kale in your smoothie, or like, it's like even like, the ergonomic chairs that like it's really good for your back pain, but like they just look cool. So you're like, okay, I'll get like I just buy it because you think it looks pretty. And then meanwhile, there's all these things that are actually very cat centric, that are built in there, but you have to.
And user friendly too, because washable is so important. Like I have a bed here that is, somebody gave this to me because it's washable. And like, I don't know how often she washed it because she was getting rid of it. And I was like, I need one. But it's falling apart. Like, the seams are fraying. Like, I don't know how long she's had this. I don't know. A lot of people will wash stuff that's not meant to be washable, and it'll like withstand it a couple washes, but then it starts to fall apart. So tell us what material you use and how you kind of came to, I'm sure that it's not like something you just knew. You had to do some research, right?
I did a ton of testing, and it's like that's the gift of being somebody. I'm like a like writer, marketer, brand person, all these things. Like I am not an industrial designer. I am not like a engineer, all these things. So I learned a lot of this stuff by just like Googling, by asking people, by just doing all the research, by being the annoying person, like calling the random like factories and asking a million questions and all that, and then just like testing tons of stuff. I mean, to get to where I am right now with these products, I made so many prototypes and had so many versions that's like, okay, this isn't going to work. Or like, even, I originally was like, I want like organic filling for these beds. And then what I realized is like a lot of the organic fill, it will retain the smell of pet mess. It will take like 4 days to dry, and so I ended up testing a bunch of different fill. It won't keep its shape as well. And so this is like a quick dry polyfill that keeps that firmness, because I was creating this to like last as long as possible. And that's really my view about sustainability too, is like, I know just for me alone, how many pet things I've had to throw away, the things don't last a long time. So I'm like, if you're keeping this for a few years, like if it's, even if it's like a poly-based material, like it's not going to end up in a landfill. It's not going to create that waste if it lasts a lot longer. So that's been my approach, is like, what's going to actually withstand the day-to-day of like, and I have one cat who like, bless her heart, like she kind of always has like a messy bum, and that's just like the reality. And so that's when I end up throwing her, favorite bed of these in the wash. And then I mentioned, cat with IBD throwing up on these. And so, and this material also does a really good job of kind of naturally repelling fur a little bit, because of like the way that the fibers are kind of coiled, so it doesn't act as a magnet for fur. So I really just end up throwing this in the wash when it actually has a mess, but it is a quick dry fill, so it'll dry in less than a day, just air dry, and keep its shape. But yeah, so it's a poly based fabric and a poly based fill.
Awesome. Okay, and so when did you start designing these products? How long did it take for Wildcat to be what it is today?
Yeah, so it's one of those things. I know we were talking about slowing down earlier, Isabel, and it's like every bone in my body is like, I want all this stuff created like yesterday, and I want like, and it's so maddening to go. I think that's honestly been almost like a weird, even though I can't even believe I'm saying that, but like a gift of going through this process is like these things take 10 times longer than you think it's going to take. And each thing, like, then once you get one step forward, you're like, okay, I fixed this weird problem and this weird thing that was curling up over here, but now this weird thing is happening. And so it's like the universe is like, no, dude, you're going to take like a slower path to get here. But like, if it's like, how much do you want this? You want to keep going, or you want to just be like, okay, I'm over it. Like, so I think that's been like, it's been definitely like psychologically, you kind of have to be like, hey, how bad do I want to like create this like perfect cat bed, So I think there's been definitely like a lot of that. And so if you would have told me, because I knew I wanted the name Wildcat, so I like got the name and formed the LLC and filed my trademark and stuff like in 2018, and that I was doing, I had like a full-time other job, and so it was something where it was like moving slowly, and I would kind of chip away, and I had a lot of product ideas, so it takes a long time to narrow in on one. And I mentioned my first 2 products are actually not what you see today, and those ones are still things that I would really love to make, and I have at varying levels of like prototypes. One of them is actually in the background right there. It's a special screen for your litter area, and that was one that meant a lot to me, because I as knowing what I know about, cat behavior issues and inappropriate elimination being such a big one, and being like, oh, well, my cats, like, they don't want to have an enclosed litter box, and I don't want to give them that, but I want something so I don't have to stare at it. So I have a lot of, there are ideas on the back burner, but the ones that, like, these ones specifically, the scratcher shapes that you see today, that I have 2 different styles, and then this bed, it took like about 3 years, like from start to finish, of like my first sketches, and, kind of like then getting the first, like concept drawings and like first prototypes, and then like finding somebody who could help me, because you don't want to see what, like, my janky prototypes that I sewed, like, it's not a great look, but it's good to test with cats, and then you can be like, okay, they like something about this shape. But I had so many different with the scratchers too. It's like I had ones where I'm like, oh my gosh, I love how this looks, and the cats were like, we hate this, we want nothing to do with this scratcher. I'm like, come on, it's great, like sprinkling catnip on it. I'm like, come use it, like, you'll love it, I promise. They're like, nope. So I have a lot of friends and family and people. I have like a lot of great people that were very patient early testers. I'm like, okay, I have a different shape of scratcher that I want you to try. And so, but it's also like observing cats and noticing the things in your house that they like that are not meant for cats also inspired a lot of the shape of some of these.
Well, you're filling a gap in the market, which I love. And I love that you did that with your whisker vase. Tell us about the material that you use, because it's not just any whisker vase, as if there were many.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because I have like saved my cat's whiskers for a long time. Obviously I have a few, and it's been so cute because I have Banks, who you saw, he has black whiskers. And so now I have found probably like, because he's new, so I've only found like 4 of his whiskers. And so I've been putting them in like my different ones, being like, oh, I'm going to put a black one in here. Oh, yeah. I'm like, it's very exciting for me to get to throw a black whisker in my like white whisker base.
Beautiful.
These were actually, so I was keeping them in my jewelry box, and, and I would just like kind of, there wasn't any grand plan for them, although I know there are some amazing people who do beautiful jewelry, and I can't wait to commission something made out of them. But at the time I was just not doing anything with them. And I had this beautiful stone that I had found, and I actually like took tape and I put it on the back, and I fanned out some of the whiskers and I taped them on, and it almost like had this air plant vibe. And so I had that on my desk for a while, and I kept staring at it every day. I was like, this looks so pretty with them fanned out. I wonder, and I like called a friend that I know who's a jewelry designer. I was like, do you have like a drill where you could drill in a crystal? And that kind of started the process of like, and so now if you can see, like, there's like a tiny hole. And so it's a hole that's like, and I had to test a bunch of different like widths and depths of like what will fan them out properly. And, even if you only have a couple, it will still kind of fan them out, but you can fit, quite a few in there. So it's like, they're so pretty.
I love them.
This one's rainbow fluorite and this is moss agate. So they're natural crystals.
What was the first one? Remind me the first one.
This one is rainbow fluorite and this one is moss agate.
Okay, I think I got the rainbow fluorite when I purchased mine.
Did. Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
This is a sneak peek. I was testing a few other kinds of stones. This is flower agate. These. So I have a couple other ones and a couple other little shapes. So there's like I'm testing some things. So we'll see.
I love it.
In the spring, hopefully, I'll have a couple new different colors to choose from.
Okay, so I do like an annual gift for pet lovers list, and obviously that's going on there because we always buy for the pets, but we forget to buy for the pet people. And a lot of times, but the only gift we send is when it's a sympathy gift, and like, don't wait that long. Give them a welcome kitty vase for the whiskers, so that one day when the cat's no longer with them, they still have the whiskers in the vase, and it would be so nice. Like, I just feel like there's so many moments where you can give that as a gift: holiday, birthday, welcome home kitty, like just like for somebody who's like on your team and loves cats, but you don't know what to get them, like something really unique and special. I just love that idea. I think there's so many uses especially for gift giving, or you can just buy it like I did for yourself. So
buy it for yourself. It's funny you said about the thing for yourself, because when I was making these things, I was like, obviously I want to make like something for me too. And so I made, I think you saw these at my booth, maybe Isabel, but I make mini scratchers so that when you get a Wildcat scratcher, it's like you get an exact replica of the same scratcher that your cat has. So you can twin with your cat, but it's a nail file.
I love it.
No, it's a good like fidget for my fellow neurodivergent people out there. We're like, we always need something in our hand. It's like, on a Zoom call, you can just be using your human scratcher. Your cat gets a scratcher, you go. And so I'm like, I'm trying to sneak in the human presence in there when I can.
So cool. All right. We're going to wrap this up with some final Thanksgiving thoughts. So I'm going to give you however much time you need to tell us when you look back at 2024, what stands out as something you're really grateful for?
Yeah, so many things. I think the thing that comes to mind the most is I had to say goodbye to my soul kitty Stella just a couple months ago, and it's been so hard. I know any animal person knows it. The grief it's very heartbreaking, and I think that I haven't even posted about it or told a lot of people just because I'm not quite there yet. And I think that, but so this year, I think when we said slowing down, I think that I got so much time with her, and it was just the last year of her life. And I got to be with her for 17 years. So,
wow.
And she is who, I created every step of making Wildcat, as we talk about it, it's it's a celebration of her because I made the bed for her. She tested everything and it was so she was there when the first box came of the first prototype, and she's jumping on the box, and it's she's just been right next to all the late nights, making things so it's very closely tied to her. And I would not have done it if not for her, because she was who, I got her a little bit after college, in my first apartment. And so it's how many different cities and life moments of first big breakup or big job or leaving a stable job to start your own business and becoming a human mom and all she's just there for all these things. And so in this year was a lot of slowing down with her but still having so many nice moments of just she loved going to sit outside and on her little harness and just sitting in the sun or just laying next to her for a while and just looking at each other. And so it's when I think of this year, it's sad, but that's the number. When I think of gratitude this year, I'm oh my gosh, I got 17 years with my my soul cat, and obviously no offense to these other kitties here,
yes.
But it's people know when you have your soul cat or your soul dog. I'm oh my gosh, I feel so grateful and thankful to that I even got to meet her. We both got to cross paths while we were both here, much less 17 years through, all those, life moments. So it was it's very sad, but it's also, I let myself be dude, be so happy. It's you, what a, I don't know if I'll ever have that feeling again about another human or animal. And that's I wish she was here forever, but also I'm just so happy that I got to be with her. Also, the sun is, as I'm talking about, that's shooting out through the window into my face. She's all right, stop talking about me.
I think so too. What was her name?
Her name is Stella.
Stella.
Yeah.
Oh, Stella. Are you kidding me right now?
I know. This is some art of her and Marmite, which they were not friends, but we have them pretend friends in this picture. But no, yeah, she's the best. And
okay, so you're telling me that Stella, which means star in Italian, and we're talking about her, and the biggest star just starts shining on you. I just feel she's there. She's there. Yes, yeah. I saw it. She's there, and
I'm not wearing
grateful.
Sunscreen, so yeah. Yeah.
She is grateful for you. I think that we can all say that, especially in their senior years when they need the most care, I think our pets kind of really recognize all that we do for them. And it's probably why I love seniors so much, because they're
I know you love senior pets.
Yes,
I
love senior anything. Senior pets are my favorite because I just feel they're so intuitive and they know what we're doing for them, and they don't take it for granted like maybe a younger pet does. And actually, I'll say what I'm grateful for is actually I'm in one of those moments in my life where it's just go, go, go all the time. And I'm grateful that my pets actually make me feel appreciated, whereas the rest of my family is also just go, go, go. And nobody stops to say thank you. And anytime I come home the way that my pets receive me and like being like, oh, she's back, thank God. I'm so grateful for that because like sometimes you think like if you're not there, people just like live life as usual, right? Like business as usual. But my pets make sure that I know that they missed me and that they appreciate all that I do for them. And I feel like I need that right now because, you know, when you have little kids who are always asking for stuff, my husband's like doing so much, just as busy as I am. And my family is going through a lot of transitions, like my extended family moves and babies and things. And like everybody just asks for stuff, you know, inevitably. And my pets kind of like give that back, like that gratitude back. And I do feel
they're
it.
refilling your cup. And obviously, like, yes, we have to feed them. We have to, you know, scoop the box. We have to do that. But at the end of the day, no, I felt like that so much in, you know, becoming a parent. And I'm sending you hugs for all the intense life things happening. But I think I had friends who were like, oh man, like when you become a parent, are you going to like, you know, not care about your cats anymore? And what I found, it's actually the opposite where like, and not, you know, my daughter is wonderful and I love her more than anything. And also she's 5. Like I exist solely to I exist for her. And it's only, like you said, it's like the cup is constantly being dumped out. And then these pets are like, here, like, hey, I just want to vibe with you. And I'm so happy to like have you here. They're not stressed about the past or worried about tomorrow. They're just like, hey, Isabel, like, come here. You know,
yes,
they're like,
exactly. Like,
you need that cup. Let me refill it for you. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm telling you, my Van Gogh is the most affectionate of all 3 of my pets, and he will find his way to snuggle me. And he just like his energy just gives me so much peace and soothing, and it just is like it brings me back to like everything's gonna be okay. So tell my audience how that we could he takes care of me when I don't take care of myself, I guess. So tell me, how can our audience learn more about you and your amazing brand, Wildcat?
Thank you, Isabel. Yeah, I'm on Instagram, and Wildcat is just me and the cats, so I'm easy to find. So on Instagram, I'm at Wildcat Living, just spelled out, and then my website is wearewildcat.com. And yeah, and I'm Erin, and yeah, I'm and I will be at CatCon, and you know, usually at the different like bigger cat events. So you know, hopefully I'll get to say hi to folks in person. Yeah, definitely CatCon, maybe some others in 2025. Who knows?
Awesome. All right. Well, I want to propose a toast to you for being so awesome. I just think the world of you. I love your products. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Of course. Cheers. I also want to propose a toast to my executive producer, Mark Winter. Thank you, Mark. And to our audience for joining us for these awesome conversations and to get to know the stories of these awesome people in the pet industry. It is not just about pets, it's also about people. So here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers.
Cheers.
To learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.